Welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. We get together because we like each other's company. We love sharing our knowledge with one another. We love experimenting together. And sometimes we do a little business together. This morning we are going to talk about Chromebooks. But first, let's do a bit of an introduction. So, David, you were here first. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Dave Flannery with affordable websites for small business here in the middle of the United States in Rock Falls, Illinois. And I just had my first train ride for 26 hours each way, which was a long ride. Sometime along the line, I'll report back as to what it was like. But right now, I'll turn it back over to LowellAnn and uh,
Thank you.
take over.
Yes, I'll be interested to hear what the train ride was like. I'm thinking the world is going to go back to trains more as flying is seen as not being very environmentally healthy. So we may see more train riding. Welcome here, David and Vivek.
Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. Literally, it means wisdom and happiness. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology is my company. Together, let us wake up our potential. At the moment, I am in Reading, UK, England, and the weather is okay. It's autumnal. Can't expect anything different. It says 17 degrees centigrade. And a bit of news is later on today, I would be recording an unboxing of this device.
A brand new Pixel. Yeehaw! We love our pixels, don't we?
Yeah.
Right.
I did attend a online meeting of Pixel super fans.
Really?
Yeah, it was an online thing, so I didn't have to go anywhere. It was invitation from Google, and so yeah. The thing was, I was not supposed to talk about that until a certain date and all that. I was not supposed to talk about what we talked about, what I heard in that event either. So, um, like every big corporation, Google does have those confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements and all sorts of things. So,
Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing your evaluation once you start using it. So, yeah, thank you. And Fred, there's David. Are you waving?
Yes, I want to report we are broadcasting through YouTube, and Javita says hello to everyone today.
Oh, good morning, Javita. Welcome here. Right. Okay, so Fred, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, LowellAnn, and good day to everyone, including Javita in India and Vivek in UK and David in United States and LowellAnn and myself here in Canada. That's pretty international if you think of it right there. I'm Fred Jones, the creator of Our Future Leaders, where we assist our young people to gain communication and leadership skills so they can become the leader that our world needs, especially with all the dramatic changes that are going on. I've volunteered to help our emergency support services team in the two communities I help, which are View Royal and Colwood, to implement what's called the ERA. It's for the evacuees registration. It's online. We always do it in paper, but now we're computerizing it. It's quite an interesting challenge. What technology we're going to use? It's on the cloud, but who can type? Not everybody. A lot of us old people cannot type, if you know that, and they're adverse to using technology. So this is an interesting project that I've got involved in.
Right on.
It's fascinating, actually, to see, because the provincial government said, hey, let's try and use computers rather than all paper-based systems. There's a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages. So it's fascinating.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, you're pointing up to the fact that as time goes on, we'll all, people in general, will not have a choice as to whether they use technology or not. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. David, I see you waving again.
Yes, Javita says hello, Paul.
So, welcome here, Paul. Long time no see.
Yeah, your luck ran out today.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Paul Murray, and my company's TTG International Management. And think of us as your Sherpas on your business journey. We're there to help to guide you, and when the heavy lifting is required, we can come in and do some of that for you.
Right on. So, again, David, you're waving again.
Yes, I want to say, Paul, I'm going to go buy a lotto ticket because my bad luck has changed since you come in.
Right on. And I see you're in color now, Paul. And I think the last time I saw you, you were in black and white.
Oh, yes. Eventually, you know, all of us older chaps come around to the new world. And what can I say?
Yeah. All right. So I'm glad you're here. And Paul is also in Victoria, in my neighborhood, even.
In the hood.
In the hood, yeah. So I might just finish our intros off by saying that I love working with solopreneurs, especially those who are retired and looking to do some online business. So this morning, just by way of context about our this morning's topic, I think it's a few weeks ago that we introduced the whole concept of Windows, unveiling and talking about Windows 11. And we were invited to download a program called PC Health Check to find out whether our computer will be compatible with Windows 11. Some of us, myself included, discovered that our computer is not going to be compatible with Windows 11. So we, as a group, decided it would make sense to start looking at alternatives. Now, although there is no panic, Microsoft will probably support Windows 10 for a few years yet, but for me, I felt it was important to kind of start looking at alternatives. Am I going to buy a brand new PC? What am I going to do? What am I going to do with the stuff I've got if I did that, etc. So we decided that we would look at what our alternatives are, and we looked at one of those alternatives last week, and that was, what about an Apple laptop of some sort? And so Vivek gave us a presentation about what he sees as useful about an Apple laptop. So then we, for today, we thought we would look at Chromebooks, since that seems to be another alternative. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But before we get there, I want to acknowledge Alana. I'm glad you made it. So what do we know about Chromebooks? And I do know that two of our members here have Chromebooks. From where I sit, my tower PC is not going to be able to use the Windows 11. So I'm looking at my alternatives. So a couple of things that I've done a little bit of research on Chromebooks, and from what I can see, there seems to be sort of two classifications of Chromebooks. So the plus one, which gives you about 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. And by the way, there's all kinds of different brands of Chromebooks, Acer, and there's a whole bunch of them. But they all seem to, and they're somewhere between 13-inch screen and a 14-inch. And they run somewhere between $516 to $599. A premium one, which gives you 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, will run you about $800 to $1,350. And they seem to come in the same sizes. So that gives you some idea what you're talking about. Probably a lot less than buying a new PC laptop or a new PC for sure. And there's a few other things about Chromebooks that I've learned. Most of them are touch screen. And they claim that they have about 12 hours of battery life. And they have all the Google products loaded. So those were the things that I came up with in terms of my research. Now, one of the things that Vivek said was, well, if you're buying a Chromebook, there's a few things that you need to pay attention to, such as when was the device first manufactured, because that would determine how long Google supports it. So just before we went live, I said to Vivek, so how on earth would we know when the thing was manufactured? And your answer was to go look and see how old the CPU is. So, but there are, before making a decision, a user would need to know how much storage am I going to need and how much RAM am I going to need. So those are the things that I discovered. But because we have a couple of people here who have them, I thought it would be interesting to throw out the question: what are the pros and cons of using a Chromebook? So, what about you, Fred? I know that you have and use a Chromebook. Do you have any sense of why you love it and what is inconvenient about it, if there is anything?
Yeah, I have sort of an upmarket one. It's I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's touch screen. It's got 16 gigabytes of memory. It's got 500 and something gigabytes of storage, solid state drive. You know, you can make it into if you open it, you can fold it up and use it as a panel and so on. So it's,
Tablet.
yeah, it's really very, very convenient. What I like about it is I can do everything that I could do on my PC, and it's much faster and easier because it is more modern than my PC, which is very old. I can do everything that I want. There's a couple anomalies, which is, for example, in Zoom is a different product than it is on the PC, and recording is, I cannot find, Zoom offers recording, so I have to use another third-party product. And one of them was suggested by Javita, and that seems to work quite well. But I haven't spent a lot of time learning how to integrate that because I do a lot of videos, and those videos I record. So I haven't, it's a matter of time. I'm sure there's a way of doing what I want to do. It's just, as we all know, it takes time to learn all these things. And that's all. But as far as I'm concerned, what a great replacement for a PC, because I don't want to pay Microsoft the rates that they want for their products, and yet I can do everything and integrate. I can get, for example, whatever spreadsheets or from Microsoft products and documents, and I can enter them and edit them, but I enter them either one of two places, and one is Google Drive, and I use Google Drive extensively. I really like their products because I can just link in on, even on my PC I can do it. So it's wonderful to have everything stored on the internet. And
yeah, that whole
people say,
cloud,
oh, you don't want it in a cloud.
yeah, that whole cloud-based computing, for those of us that are comfortable with it, it's fine. But
well, it's also the backups too. You know, I was worried about my PC drive crashing. Well, with this Chromebook, there's no drive to crash. It's solid state drive, so no spindles are gonna, hit the actual what's turning, the plates that are turning on my drive. And I've had that a couple of times over the years in my other PCs. That's not going to happen. And plus, all my valuable information is stored on the internet. Now, at one time, I was paying to have it on my PC, a product, and I think it was something Vivek suggested, a product out of Germany, and they were storing it, and it was still on over the cloud somewhere. It was stored on drive somewhere. And it's the same with Google Drive. So I don't have, to me, it just relieves everything. It's so much nicer than using PCs. So I'm a big fan now of Chromebook. The only thing I've had is the Zoom the Zoom recording for videos. And I know I can do it. I've done it. I think it's Screencast, which Javita suggested, and that works. But it's still the steps. I'm using two products rather than Zoom makes it easy on a PC.
Well, we saw that when we were discussing this yesterday. We saw that as one of the downfalls of using a Chromebook or Chrome OS is that you are using Zoom in the cloud rather than on your computer. And if you were using it in the cloud, I think in order to record using Zoom, you have to have a premium version. Yeah. So yeah, that we saw that as one of the downfalls. So David, I saw you waving there. Oh,
Sorry, I was unmuted to begin with. No, I was going to ask him what software he's using, and he's just told me. So now I'm going to put it in chat and whatnot.
yeah.
Thank you.
As for recording, yeah. So, so really, a Chromebook is kind of sort of halfway between a tablet and a laptop. I guess I would is the way I would describe it. Do you think that's a fair description, Vivek?
Yes and no. And I also remembered that we, in fact, I presented choose between laptop or Chromebook in the success circle, and this was streamed live on August 4th, 2020.
Yes.
Where I did a comparison between that would probably be before probably that was what prompted Fred to go and buy one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one aspect. When it comes to, I mean, is it a combination of pad and it is in a way.
Yeah. It's the touch screen part that makes it kind of more like
Yeah.
a tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touch screen is the touch screen facility is useful on specific occasions, but not always. You can't say that touch screen is the answer for everything. No. For example, when you are browsing a website and you see a link within the page, if you don't have a touch screen, you'll have to move the mouse to that location and then click. Whereas if you have a touch screen, you just touch that link on the screen and it takes you to the link. But that itself, unless you keep doing it hundreds of times every day, that is not a huge advantage.
Okay. So it's not a pro, not necessarily a pro.
Not necessarily.
Right.
Whereas if you are let's say you are an artist and you want to do, say, painting or something like that, touch screen can be very useful rather than, I mean, and of course the requirement is you should be open to trying to do art on the computer directly. You could use the touch screen rather than using your physical brush. You could use your finger as a brush and paint and do all that. So yeah, that's where the advantages of touch screen come in.
So Paul and or Alana, do you are there any questions in your mind about a Chromebook that that come up? Could you see yourself using one?
Well, I always liked the idea of having a laptop that doubled as a tablet. So I really like that feature in the Chromebook. But I wanted to ask Fred, if somebody, because your Chromebooks don't come with Microsoft installed. So if somebody sent you a Word file or a Microsoft Excel file or anything like that, are you able to open it by converting it in a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. So
Cool.
I import it there and I can work on it. It's phenomenal, and you can export it, to
Yeah.
somebody else. So no problem. I find that very helpful in many ways. I mean, I use all of Google's products, and they are compatible. I mean, I can interchange them with Microsoft products, so it works very
No,
That's
well
good.
for me.
Even though
when
even though I'm using a Microsoft system, I use nothing but Google. So
Yeah, I have Microsoft came pre-installed on my laptop, and I've only used it. I don't know. I think I've used it to design a CV and that sort of thing. But other than that, I haven't used it for much anything else.
right.
that's where last time you made a comment, Fred. Google is eating Microsoft's lunch, and you explained that how Google is actually eating Microsoft's lunch. Microsoft sells you Office. You have to pay for the Office suite. Whereas for Google thing, you're not paying anything.
No. You've got
It's free.
all the Google products to use,
So
and
when
they
you
all interact.
when you get familiar with it and start using it, you don't see the need to go and buy Microsoft Office. You'll say, why should I spend money on Microsoft Office? I can use Google products and
Yeah.
And I also find Google products aren't bloated like Microsoft. There's so many features and functions in Microsoft that you never use.
Right.
It's quite remarkable. And everything I've ever wanted to do, I can do with the Google products, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot more intuitive, I find. So I've become a big fan, and over the years I've had people using it and say, why are they doing it in Drive? Now I know why they do it in Drive. And my presentations as well. Why would I never want to use Excel or what is it? I don't even remember the name of their
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
Excel and PowerPoint. And,
PowerPoint. Yeah. But I can interchange PowerPoint with Google's,
yes.
and I can import them and do it. I just don't want to touch Microsoft because I got burned with Microsoft over the years. It's like exactly what they're doing again. Now it's Windows 11. It was back to the early days of Windows. I remember what really annoyed me. I was running a business and I had to upgrade. I upgraded and I couldn't use my computer for 2 days. I had to call someone in because Windows had an upgrade and helped me sort out the problems I was having with my computer. It really annoyed me because I had a job to do and I wanted to work and I couldn't. And I called somebody in, and that really turned me off Microsoft. So for years I've been looking. I even gone to Ubuntu to try it, but Ubuntu was not
We're
an easy.
going to
That's
talk
more.
about that next week.
That was a technical. That's too technical for. Well, I mean, if I want to spend a lot of time and have fun playing with technology, Ubuntu is fantastic. But no, I just want to use the technology.
Right.
So
Alana, I saw you waving.
I wanted to ask Fred, do you find that your Google book has, your Chromebook has enough storage and memory? Do you find that I don't really know the specs on a Google Chromebook, but I'm just wondering if you find it slow, if, you
I've
have
got
plenty of
16
storage.
I got 16 gigabytes of memory and
Excellent.
half a terabyte, or what is it, 500 and something gigabytes of solid state drive. And
Okay.
I wanted my next computer had to have solid state drive. I don't like the fact that, we had the spinning drives that crashed, and I've had a few crashed on me over the years. So and solid state drive is so much faster than anything. So it's extremely fast. And this one has a i5 Intel processor, which is pretty good. I mean, I think i7 is the most highest one, and the i5 is, for this, it's fantastic. I cannot complain. I mean, and it's all Vivek's fault. He told me about Chromebook, and sold me on it, and I'm really glad he did, because it's been wonderful.
Right.
And it's so much lighter and portable and more robust, in fact, because of the solid state drive. So it's really a great advantage to me.
Right.
And that's what I think Windows 11. My prediction is they're trying to emulate this, because Chrome and Chromebooks are making life easy, and they're trying to now say, okay. But I think Vivek explained the difference between Microsoft and other. Microsoft wants you they want it to be complicated, so that you'll have to, be trained and learn, and that's their, I guess, in other words, their advantage, if you want to call it.
Their business vision for
Yeah.
their business.
It's very complicated and expensive, and you get all these people that have to be certified in Microsoft products to learn how to do this, etc. And all of that is big money for them.
Yeah.
So, and I don't need that complication. I just need something that works, and this works.
David, you're waving.
Yes. Can you add a external drive to these? Like a USB external drive?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you only get the which is USB-C, but then as I showed last time, I have this, and I've got ports on here. I've got HDMI ports and LAN ports and USB ports, and it's a hub. So you can get hubs, and I'm still charging my device with this as well. So it's phenomenal. It just and you can get all sorts of hubs, whatever you want, and then you can plug in all sorts of devices. And the beauty was the drivers. I never had to worry about a driver. I've just plugged in all my old devices, my old mice that I was using on my PC, and it all works. The headset that I was using on my PC, it all works. The drivers are there. I've never had a problem. So I'm a fan, I guess. So I can stop being a fan now.
I had one when all of this cloud computing came online. I had some concerns to start with, and that was I did not want to store personal client information in the cloud. I felt really nervous about that. Since then, I've been using all the Google products, and everything is stored in the cloud. I have never had any issue, security issue, none whatsoever. Now, the other thing that I think Vivek and I have mentioned numerous times is that if you're using a Google.com account,
you mean Gmail account?
A Gmail account, yeah. Google does not guarantee security, but when you are doing the workspace, it's now called. When you have the workspace, they do guarantee security. So that's one of the major differences between the two.
And the other thing is virus and all of those challenges. They're a lot less, if not almost non-existent on Chrome compared to PC. So I don't need all of that, what it was, Norton stuff to prevent virus and all that. It's again. So it again makes it easy. That's all I'm saying. I don't have to have all that other stuff that I used to have storage somewhere else and security products and all that. I don't need those.
Well, and it's interesting. I keep comparing my Pixel phone, which has all of the Google products on it. It's sort of similar. The experience is sort of similar to using a Chromebook. All the Google products are there, and you don't have all this other junk that to deal with. right now I find having Microsoft is a pain in the you know what, because it gets in the way. It's yeah. So oh, Fred, who did we just lose? Oh, Vivek.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost Vivek. He just dropped off.
Yeah, he must have hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
So I guess my last question to all of you is how comfortable are you working in the cloud, storing your stuff in a cloud? And David, I get a sense that you were asking about can you plug in an external hard drive or an external drive of some sort. So I guess if you were going to do if you were going to use a Chromebook, that's what you would do.
Well, it would depend on what I do. If I made the Chromebook my main computer and got rid of my desktop and got rid of my setup and all that and used it, I would want a backup of all my data files in my house. I don't want a backup just in the cloud, because if I lose internet and I need to get to a file, I need to get to a file.
Right.
Okay, and I can plug that in, and if Debbie needs a file, she can go and plug that in.
Yeah.
We are using Workspace, I think it's called. And first, when it was just Gmail, I wouldn't use it to store our data. But since we've gone to the Workspace and they guarantee the security on it, we have gone to where our files are shared. Debbie and I's files are shared together, and we can, either one of us can access the files from anywhere. My trip, I was in Utah, and I was able to get to the files that I needed to be able to work with. Even though I didn't get to do much work, but what little I did, I was able to get to the files I needed without having, go through gyrations. It's just like clicking on the file explorer and go into the directory that's at, and it was very easy. And we've tried a number of different ways of doing this, and this has worked the best. It's easy for Debbie. It's easy for me.
Right.
And it works. I mean, sometimes it's down, but like I said, then I have it's backed up on the main desktop so that I have the ability to use it. Now, then Debbie wouldn't have the ability to use it, but if I had it on my little terabyte hard drive, portable hard drive, then I could just unplug it and put it on her computer, and she'd have access. So that's I feel very confident that they're going to not be hacked and someone's going to steal all my information.
Right. Well, and of course, when the time comes, like I have numerous years of data on my current computer. So of course, the very first thing I would need to do is download all that data. Yeah. So we're all giggling. I don't know if you caught it, David. Vivek says, "Surprise, surprise! His MacBook crashed."
I wasn't watching chat.
So
that never happens to a Mac. That's only Windows or Windows-based computers that need to be rebooted.
No, it got jealous. We were talking about Chromebooks so much. It just said, "I'm getting out of here. That's too much for me now." Yeah.
Oh dear. There's one last item that it's sort of part of my belief system, I guess. I picked up somewhere along the way. Was that with a Chromebook, you cannot download other programs. And according to Vivek, if he comes on, there he is. According to Vivek, you can download, you can do, you can install any Linux apps. So it's not 100%. I mean, there are certain softwares that you cannot that are not available for Linux.
But I
That's
think
interesting.
you go to the App Store, or what do you want to call it, and you'll find almost every product has an app. It's not software, it's an app, but it is software.
Yeah.
And so you run all those apps on there. Almost everyone now has. It's very seldom that you'll have a product that you want that it doesn't have an app.
Well,
So you just run an app.
I've already made a list of all of the apps and applications that I have on my computer. So I have discovered there are a few that you can't. There's nothing for, and there are other alternatives that I discovered. So, yeah.
Surprise, surprise!
Yes.
My MacBook Pro crashed and
What
had
happened?
to.
Why?
I don't know why. And
I told you why. It's got jealous. We're talking about Chromebooks so much.
and
Said, I'm getting out of here.
And my old webcams refuses to connect, so I had to get around to the other webcam, which is also the same make and model, but mounted slightly differently and so on. So anyway,
So I'm thinking
you were talking about Linux apps and so on. I got bits of it, and you were saying I said something. So, but I
well,
didn't
yeah,
cap
you
what
you
were
had
saying.
said that if you're using a MacBook, or no, not a MacBook, a Chromebook, that you could download anything, any Linux apps,
Mm-hmm.
provided you have enough space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
But Fred is saying you don't need to download. To some degree, there's an app for almost everything.
yeah, so just to preempt any further crash or whatever that might kick me out again, let me share a couple of links and so on. So let me share my screen.
Okay.
So this is Zoom for Chrome.
Oh.
And this is PWA, and I don't know whether it is a political statement or not, because it is developed in the United States.
Progressive web app.
Progressive. The progressive are the so-called people. Progressive people are getting quite a bad press in the United States. Republican versus Democrats, and then progressives and liberals and
oh, you're in
all
the
that.
Play Store. Okay.
But this is called as progressive web app. I don't know why they called it progressive, but this is progressive web app is a Google's terminology actually.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Zoom for Chrome.
Yeah.
And this is an app which is essentially a web interface to Zoom. So I wonder whether Fred uses this or not. Maybe he, I don't know. Anyway, that's this is mainly for Fred's benefit,
right,
and anyone else's, of course. And then we did talk about Google no longer supporting some older processors. So there is an article here from Tech Radar. Let me copy paste that into the chat.
Right.
So this article talks about what processors may be
No longer supported.
no longer supported. So
Mm-hmm.
this is relevant if you are out in the market to buy a Chromebook and you find that a Chromebook which seems to have a very high spec but seems to be really cheap. This may be the reason why.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Google Chrome may no longer be supporting that CPU for very much longer. So that maybe that's the reason why that particular laptop Chromebook is so cheap. So
what
before
would you do if you had an old Chromebook and suddenly it's not being supported? Does that mean you'd have to buy a new Chromebook?
Yeah, essentially that's what it means. Or rather, this is relevant only when you are making a decision whether you want to buy or not. So, and you were also talking about Linux and Chromebook. So this is an article which talks about you can install Ubuntu on a Chromebook, and this is from Ubuntu's own website. And this says, I don't know how much you can read there because okay. So these are the things that this is a more of a tutorial. It allows you to do all of that. So so when you do that, you end up running all the apps that are available under Linux, available under Chromebook.
Okay.
Can you put that in chat too, please?
Yeah. So it's oh, we have two Freds with us. How did you do that, Fred?
I logged in on my Chromebook.
Oh. Oh dear.
And that's using Zoom, but I'm trying to find out what version of Zoom I'm using. I have no idea. But it's there, Zoom. I can have a look and try and see. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, the version is slightly different and the interface is slightly different. They are trying to bring it closer to the version that we see on Windows and so on, but yeah. But it is a collaboration between Zoom and Google. So
okay, right on. So I'm thinking we've pretty well covered everything that we all know about Chromebooks as a possible alternative to a Windows machine. I don't know, Paul, are you using an Apple or a PC?
I'm using a PC.
Right. And right now you're probably using Windows 10. So you might like to go find that program, which will PC Health Check, which will tell you whether you're...
I don't have to, I know.
You know, it doesn't? It won't?
It won't, no.
Right. So the question for you is, what am I going to do about it? Yeah. You
Yeah,
know, you can stick with Windows 10 for a few years, but at some point you will have to make a decision.
my next thing is going to be upgrading to a new phone. I'm finding more and more what I'm doing is on my phone.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, the apps are getting so much better, and it's just so much more convenient for me.
Right.
And just a note on security, with one of the companies we did work with, we just put in a very simple security convention in that the information that's stored in there is never related to the name of the person. We use a code for a simple code for all of the people's names. So the information's there, but trying to relate it back to somebody,
Right.
just by making it one step harder. Most of these people that are looking for information are lazy as well. So if you make it even a little bit harder, then they're not interested in you anymore.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes, and I agree with you. I mean, the phone. There's so many things that you can do with the phone, but there are still some things that you can't do with the phone. So, yeah. Right. So, unless there are other comments or questions about Chromebooks, I think maybe we will close now. I don't know what time it is, but it's probably, oh yeah. It's about 10 to the hour. So I will close by reminding everyone it's important to do what you love with passion. And next week, we're going to talk about the Ubuntu. Vivek and I have been working on a couple of things that may make things a little bit simpler going down the road. So we'll leave that for now, and I will do an Alt 4 before I say see you again next week.